In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced hikers ventured deep into the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. They were on the adventure of a lifetime, a trek they'd trained for and dreamed of. But it was a journey from which they would never return. When a search party finally found their camp, they stumbled upon a scene of baffling horror that would become one of the 20th century's greatest unsolved mysteries. The official investigation was shockingly brief, its conclusion impossibly vague, blaming an unknown, compelling force for the tragedy. For over 60 years, that mystery has captivated the world, sparking countless theories that range from secret military weapons and alien encounters to an attack by a Russian Yeti. The official story was dismissed for decades, and the truth remained buried under a mountain of snow and speculation. But now, new science is finally rewriting the truth of Russia's greatest mystery, showing how a rare and terrifying natural phenomenon was the real killer that fateful night. The hiker's tent was discovered abandoned, sliced open from the inside. All of their belongings, including their shoes and warm coats, were left behind. In the snow, footprints showed they had fled, some of them barefoot, into the brutal 25°C night. At first, it seemed like a simple case of exposure. The first bodies found showed signs of death by hypothermia. But as the search went on, a much grimmer picture emerged. The last 4 hikers were found months later in a ravine, and they had suffered catastrophic injuries. One had a severely fractured skull, while 2 others had crushed chests, with injuries a medical examiner compared to the force of a car crash. The strangest part? Their bodies had no external wounds. To make things even more bizarre, one of the women was missing her tongue and eyes. What could possibly cause that kind of devastating internal damage? And what terror could drive 9 seasoned mountaineers to cut their way out of their only shelter and run to their deaths in the frozen wilderness? The group, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, were all expert hikers with serious expedition experience. Their goal was to trek 215 miles through the treacherous northern Urals to Ortorten Mountain. On February 1, 1959, they made camp for the night on the eastern slope of a mountain called Cholatsiachel, a name that chillingly translates from the local Mansi language to Dead Mountain. It was a decision that sealed their fate. They were expected to signal the end of their trek around February 12th, but that signal never came. A search operation was launched on February 20th. 6 days later, searchers found the tent. It was half-torn, covered in snow, and completely abandoned, a chilling snapshot of a moment frozen in time. Investigators could see it had been deliberately cut open from within, pointing to a sudden, panicked escape. Inside, all the group's belongings, winter boots and all, had been left behind. Following 9 sets of footprints, some made only by socks or bare feet, investigators traced a path away from the camp and down toward a nearby forest. Under a large cedar tree, about a mile from the tent, they found the first 2 bodies, Yuri Krivonoshenko and Yuri Doroshenko. They were dressed only in their underwear, lying beside the remnants of a small, desperate fire. Between that tree and the abandoned camp, the bodies of Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, and Rustam Slobodin were discovered. Their positions suggested they were crawling, trying desperately to get back to the tent. While they all appeared to have died from hypothermia, Slobodin had a small fracture in his skull, though it wasn't considered fatal at the time. The true horror wasn't uncovered until 2 months later, in May, when the spring thaw began to melt the snow. The remaining 4 hikers, Lyudmila Dubinina, Semyon Zolotaryov, Nikolai Thibeaux-Brignol, and Alexander Kolovatov, were found in a snow den they dug in a ravine. Thibeaux-Brignol had a catastrophic skull fracture. Dubinina and Zolotaryov had suffered major chest trauma. Astonishingly, these devastating internal injuries had no corresponding external damage. In a final, horrifying detail, Dubinina was missing her tongue and eyes, and Zolotaryov was missing his eyeballs. The Soviet investigation was quickly shut down, with the case files classified and the cause of death officially listed as a compelling natural force. With such an unsatisfying official story, the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass incident exploded. In the vacuum of information, wild speculation rushed in. For decades, it became a canvas for our darkest imaginations. Could they have stumbled upon a secret Soviet weapons test? This theory got a boost when traces of radiation were found on some of their clothes. But that could be explained by one hiker's prior work helping to clean up a nuclear incident in the region. Others pointed fingers at the local Mansi people, suggesting the hikers had trespassed on sacred land. But investigators found no signs of a struggle and no tracks other than the hikers' own. Plus, the injuries just didn't match a human attack. So what about a non-human attacker? The idea of a Russian Yeti, or Mank, became a sensational theory, but again, there were no animal tracks and no evidence of a struggle you'd expect from a large predator. More out-there theories suggested everything from infrasound-induced panic to a UFO encounter, fueled by reports of strange orange spheres seen in the sky around that time. But as intriguing as these ideas were, they were pure speculation without a shred of evidence. Each theory seemed to explain one or two bizarre facts, but not a single one could account for the whole horrifying picture. The slashed tent, the missing clothes, the horrific internal injuries, the scattered bodies. No one explanation seemed to fit. The case remained stubbornly, chillingly unsolved. For over 60 years, it seemed the truth was lost forever, destined to remain a ghost story whispered around campfires. But the real answer wasn't hiding in a secret government file or an alien spaceship. It was waiting right there in the snow for science to finally catch up. For decades, the idea of an avalanche was considered and then repeatedly dismissed. The slope above the tent was less than 30 degrees, which just wasn't thought to be steep enough for a slide. Search parties arriving 3 weeks later saw no obvious signs of an avalanche. And the injuries seemed all wrong. Avalanche victims usually die from suffocation, not from crushed chests with no external wounds. But in 2019, the Russian investigation was reopened, and this time they concluded an avalanche was the most likely cause. Still, they couldn't explain how, leaving many people unconvinced. That's where Swiss scientists Johann Gome and Alexander Puzrin came in. In a 2021 paper, they didn't just suggest an avalanche, they used advanced simulations to show exactly how it could have happened. They proposed a rare, delayed slab avalanche. This isn't a slide of loose powder, it's when a dense, heavy layer of snow cracks and slides down as a single massive block. Their research pointed out a few crucial things everyone else had missed. First, the hikers had cut into the snowpack to pitch their tent, creating a wall to block the wind. It was a smart move, but it was also a fatal error that destabilized the snow slab right above them. Second, the weather that night was brutal, with strong katabatic winds, cold, dense air flowing downhill, piling up more and more snow onto that weakened slab. Finally, The snowpack itself was a perfect trap. It had a weak base layer of greeny, crystalline sugar snow, which acted like a slippery floor for the heavy slab to slide on. The scientists' model showed that this combination, the cut in the slope, the added weight of wind-blown snow, and that weak bottom layer, created a ticking time bomb. It didn't need a steep slope. The conditions were perfect for an avalanche to trigger on the seemingly gentle hill where they camped. The model even calculated that the slide would have been triggered 9 to 13 hours after they cut into the snow, which explains why it didn't happen right away, but in the middle of the night while they were sleeping. The simulation didn't just show an avalanche was possible, it explained the most baffling part of the entire mystery, the injuries. Gomes, who had actually developed snow animation simulations for the movie Frozen, worked with Puzrin to model the force of the impact. They concluded that a block of snow about 16 feet long would have slammed into the tent. Because the hikers were lying down on their firm sleeping pads, the impact would have been devastating. The model showed the force was more than enough to cause the exact skull and chest fractures seen on Thibaut-Brignol, Dubinina, and Zolotaryov. The snow would act like a solid punch, but because the force was distributed, it wouldn't necessarily break the skin, explaining the terrifying internal trauma without external wounds. Suddenly, it all makes a terrifying kind of sense. In the pitch black of night, a crushing weight slams down, pinning them and inflicting agonizing injuries on their friends. In the chaos and darkness, terrified, a second larger avalanche is coming. They make a split-second, desperate choice. The entrance is blocked, so they slash their way out and flee. They try to carry their injured friends, but in the blinding snow and sub-zero cold, they quickly become disoriented. This theory also clears up the other puzzling details. The lack of avalanche debris? It was simply covered by new snowfall, something modern expeditions have seen happen within an hour. The fact that some victims were partially undressed wasn't paradoxical undressing. It's far more likely that as some began to die from hypothermia, their friends removed their clothing in a last futile attempt to keep the remaining survivors warm. The most accepted explanation for the disturbing facial injuries on Dubinina and Zolotaryov is the grim work of natural decay and scavenging by small animals, as their bodies lay in a running stream for months before they were found. For over 60 years, the Dyatlov Pass story has been a chilling tale of the unknown, a void filled by conspiracies of secret weapons, monsters, and aliens. But the truth, it seems, is not supernatural, but a terrifying and rare combination of natural forces. It was a perfect storm, a weakened slope, fierce winds, and an unstable snowpack. Through advanced computer modeling, science has finally given us the most plausible and complete explanation for what really happened on Dead Mountain. The story isn't about a monster. It's a heroic and tragic story of a desperate struggle for survival against a compelling natural force that, on that one fateful night, was simply too powerful to overcome.